Hello again.
Hello again.
Hey. Okay. Now we can hear each other, can see each other. Great.
Yeah. All of the important things. That pillow back there is bothering me. Hold on. Better.
Morning.
Good morning.
Wow. I'm Cam. Nice to meet you all.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
How you guys doing? So I'm going to be the moderator for this beautiful session. I'm excited. We'll let people kind of filter in. But I hope you guys are having a good Friday.
Yes.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. That's awesome. I don't think I've met you, Sean. So
you can call me Cam. I've been in and out the last couple days. I'm a member of Techqueria. I'm also the board chair at Operation Code. And then in my day job, I support a small consulting firm in San Diego.
Sounds exciting. I'm going to end up introducing myself again over when we start live as well. But I'm Io. I'll be the moderator for this. My day job is a technical product manager for Google. I get involved in a ton of different things. I have a community organization called Thanksgiving. I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Washington. And that's, I guess, the most important thing for now. I'm excited to connect with you all. Dennis.
Hello.
Everyone.
Cam, nice to meet you. I'm Jo Liz. I'm the managing director of Code Nation. And also a member of Techqueria.
Awesome.
We'll give it about 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes. We'll see how many people are as well. So thank you guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Guys, what time do you think we should get started?
I'd say like a minute or two.
Hopefully it doesn't rain.
If people are in here viewing, where's everybody from? Where's everybody viewing in from? Put it in the chat. I'll go first since everybody's shy. There you go. West Coast is here. Okay. Awesome. Love it. Awesome. Okay. Hope everybody's enjoying their Friday. We will get started in about 1 more minute or 2 more minutes. If that's fine with you, Jasmine, if you can give the thumbs up. Okay, cool. And also be sure to take a look over to the polls. Let us know if you are or are not a part of a community organization within tech. Definitely would love that. This is always interesting because I'm always like, should I crack a joke or like a dad joke or anything like that? But I don't have any offhand, so you guys are just gonna have to stare at our beautiful faces for about 45 to 30 seconds. You gotta give us a dad joke. Okay.
After yesterday, I got nothing. I'm just happy right now to talk to regular people and not a bunch of doctors, because that was my whole day yesterday.
That's good. Now, this should be a great conversation. And I think we are good to start. I want to make sure we're maximizing everybody's time. I'll start off by introducing myself. I'm Ayo Duyule. I'm going to be the moderator for this awesome panel today. Thank you all for joining the Comunidad, Todo es Posible talk. So we really have an awesome all-star lineup of panelists here to talk about their great tech communities and what they're doing and why and how you should get a part of it as well too. So I want to start off by allowing everybody to introduce themselves. So let's start off with Dennis.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Dennis Schultz. I am the executive director of the Blacks in Technology Foundation.
All right. And can you give us also, when you guys introduce yourselves, can you give us a bit of a blurb about your organization that you're representing as well too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I guess that would help. The BID Foundation, or Blacks Technology Foundation, is the community for people of African descent in tech. So our mission and goal is to increase the representation of Black people globally in tech space.
Awesome. So let's go on to Cam.
Thank you for having me. I'm Sean Cameron. You can call me Cam. I'm the board chair at Operation Code. We are a organization that supports veterans, transitioning military and military spouses in entering careers in technology, whether that's software development, data science, cybersecurity, wherever you can find your niche.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Let's go on to Rory.
Hey, buenas. I'm Rory. I'm a security engineer at Columbia University Urban Medical Center, and I'm here on behalf of Out in Tech. Currently, we're the largest nonprofit for LGBTQ plus tech leaders in the world. We do some pretty cool stuff like Digital Corps, which is like building websites for organizations globally who, have to fight for their right to just exist, and we have great mentorship programs, and happy to be here.
Noticed I was on mute. And is it Jolise?
It's Joliz.
Apologies for that.
No worries. Hey, everybody. My name is Joliz Cedeño. I'm coming to you from New York. I am from Code Nation. I'm the managing director. The work at Code Nation we do is to have high school students learn the basics of code, but really connect with the tech industry in order for them to have pathways to career. And we specifically work with students in under-resourced neighborhoods, predominantly Black and brown young people. So we're excited to be here and get to have this conversation with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And last but not least, Jasmine, who is representing the Techqueria team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine. I'm the community marketing director for Techqueria. I also have a bit of a cold, so please do not mind my voice today. And we are the community the organization that's hosting this summit this week, and we service Latinx tech professionals in the industry.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that awesome introduction. Special shout out to Jasmine because she's been working super hard. So let's get some clap emojis in the chat for her. As we move forward, I want to encourage everybody to please use the Q&A as well too. We're going to take a ton of questions from the audience. So use the Q&A on the right side of the tab as well too. So let's jump into the first question. You all named a great list of great organizations. I want to know how you found these organizations and what value it provided to you. So many people are here kind of looking to find that organization that's for them. They're not sure if it provides that value. So I want to get each and every one of you to kind of just discuss a little bit more about that. And let's start with Joliz.
Thank you, Ayo. So I grew up in the South Bronx in Section 8 housing, and I was really curious about tech because I was a fangirl, wanted to make websites about things that I was obsessed with, which were mainly actors and musicians at the time. And I realized that while I had self-taught myself these skills and built a website and all these things, I wasn't really able to make much of it because I didn't have connections in an industry. I didn't know that there was a place I can go to. I ended up going to a career nonprofit, specifically working with young people. I'm a youth development specialist by trade. And when I came across Code Nation, it was at a time where I was thinking about how do I leverage the work that I've done with young people and the interests I have in tech. And when I saw that they were specifically teaching young people the skills that I had taught myself in high school, but also connecting them to people in the tech industry, I was like, this is a marriage of the things that I find that I'm most passionate about, which is providing young people with pathways into spaces that they may not even know that existed for them. We know that the tech industry is not diverse enough. We know that they're not represented. And as one of my young students said, he's like, I know I'm going to be Moses parting the way for people. And as long as we continue working together and continue connecting folks, not just in the past 7 years that I've been at Code Nation, but moving forward, I'm hoping it looks more and more like my classrooms and less like, white dudes who went to Harvard.
Awesome. Appreciate that answer. And I think that's important that we talk about like really breaking down those barriers within the tech space. So appreciate for that. Let's go to Rory.
Yeah, so mine was interesting at the time. I was picking up a former partner in Soho, and Soho's pretty hip. And I see like this person like wearing this shirt, and it says "out in tech," and it bothered me. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, that has to mean something. So I just Googled it, and I found the organization purely to that, and also the person to me was visibly queer too. So it's like, this person's wearing this shirt for something. So that's honestly how I found On in Tech advertising.
Great marketing right there. I got to see what shirts you guys have. This is some great marketing. Move on to Cam.
The really short version, I served in the Navy for a decade. I started out in electronics. I got out. I became a network engineer by accident in aerospace. In 2014, right after taking a job, I literally nearly died. And I was told I had 2 to 10 years. And it was a few months after that I found Operation Code. And at the time I was thinking about not so much what my next career was going to be, but how to set things up for my family when I'm gone. So I joined to basically cross out of aerospace into the mainstream tech market, work on my skills. Next thing I knew, I was running the San Diego chapter. I joined the board right before the pandemic started, so I'm not sure what a normal year is supposed to look like. And now I'm in a spot where I'm working on my 3rd career. I'm helping other people. And in the middle of the pandemic, I was basically told, hey, we don't know how this happened, but you don't have half a heart anymore. You don't have 10 years. You may have 40. And so I'm still wrapping my head around what that means. But it's been a wild ride, and it's a great community. They've had my back, and I'll have theirs.
That's an awesome story, man. Definitely, clap it up for that. I'm that is some stuff that we need to hear on a Friday. Inspirational. We're glad that you got 40 years left. You'll probably outpace all of us in the long run as well too, with the work that you're doing in the community. So thank you to that, and thank you for that anecdote right there. Dennis.
Okay, you got me following Cam and that. What do I say about myself? That doesn't sound shallow. Probably not a whole lot. But I guess the way that I ended up at Blacks in Technology was, really just born out of my experience in New York. So I'm in North Carolina now, but I spent most of my career in the New York City Metro as a field sales rep for big tech companies. So at the time, I think I was working with Samsung, and I've worked for Dell and Lenovo and Dropbox and some others. I won't go on the list, but I would always be the only one, either only one in the boardroom, only one in sales meetings, only one at trade shows. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of back-ended my way into this tech career, and I'm doing really well. I'd like to see more people who look like me. And I don't really do that much work. It's not that hard. And I make really good money. More people should know what I do and how they could do this too, because it isn't something that's exclusive, and you don't have to be super smart or super intelligent. I can attest to that. But the positive thing was I found online haphazardly, I just Google searched, Black tech organizations, and I found Blacks in Technology, and they happened to be having a conference coming up. And, I reached out to the organizer, who was actually the founder, and asked about the conference, and he ultimately asked me to speak at a conference. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I didn't realize it was in Minneapolis. So I ended up going to Minneapolis. I spoke at the first conference, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This was a bunch of people who look like me, who talk like me. I could nerd out about Star Wars versus Star Trek, and nobody looked at me funny. It was perfect. And then I went back to New York, and even though it's a melting pot, Manhattan still looked, like Joe Liz said, a lot of white and, pale guys working and doing, what I thought should be more diverse. So long story short, I ended up starting a New York City chapter 3 years ago, and now I am executive director for the past year, and basically just doing my best to grow and maintain our thriving community.
Awesome. Thank you for that as well, too. And last but not least, Jasmine.
Similar to Dennis, I Googled, well, not really Googled, but I looked up something on Eventbrite, and I found a Philly meetup, and then it was kind of small. Everyone there was technical, so I was like, oh, this definitely isn't my thing. But one of the founders, David, was like, hey, why don't you come to New York? There's more people in Techqueria that aren't technical like you, and they may be in different areas of tech. So I was working remotely. I took a train up one night, and I got to a bar with 250 Latinos, and I was like, holy shit, this is it. Like, I liked the vibe. Everyone was so friendly. And eventually I started volunteering, and then I joined staff at the beginning of this year, and continues to be the same. I think David is honestly like the Don Francisco of tech, and that's what I consider him to be. He knows everyone. He's so like motivated to connect people, and it's such a great vibe every time. And he really breaks down that imposter syndrome for you, because he will like hype you up and introduce you. And I can honestly say the same thing for most of you all here on the screen. You guys really lend yourself to others, and you haven't even given yourself enough flowers in these intros.
That's awesome, man. And I think that's a big thing that you kind of touched upon on the end as well, too, breaking down that imposter syndrome. So any organization or leaders of an organization that do that, that is a tell sign that you should probably join that organization right there. So that's a great answer right there. Moving on to the next question. And again, before we keep moving on, I see more people kind of coming in. We encourage this to be a dialogue. So if you guys have questions, please put your questions in Q&A panel on the right side. But moving on, I want to ask you guys have these great organizations that you guys are part of. Talk to me about ways that communities can empower their members to have success, right? When people join these communities, they really just, I think the main factor everybody joins these communities is for some sort of success in their lives as well, too, right? So talk to me about ways that your communities respectively are enabling their members to have success. Let's start off with Joe Liz.
So the focus of what we do is really to have young people not just learn the skills, but really build the community in order for them to go into tech. One of the things that I often tell funders when I'm going to talk to them about like helping us raise funds to keep our organization going is that, it's not enough just to have the technical skills. If you don't have somebody who's willing to pass along your resume, if you don't have somebody who's willing to like be your advocate inside, it's going to be really hard for you to like develop a career. And not only that, as you're going into your career, if you don't have people that you can turn to for questions, who've not been there, who've been there before and can at least guide you as you're going into a space that people don't look like you, people don't talk like you, people don't have the same cultural references as you. It's important to have that navigation. So with us at Code Nation, aside from teaching students like the basics of front-end web development, we're doing a lot of things like also teaching how to do technical interviews, how to set up their portfolios in the way that they need to for interviews, and also talking about imposter syndrome. It's really important for young people to be able to understand what they're going into, because whether or not they're going to go into college, it's important for them to recognize that that's going to be an emotional labor they're going to be taking on, and being able to have those conversations with folks and be really honest about where they're at with that is really important. Some of the things that we've actually launched during the pandemic is we did Affinity Groups. So we have Blacks in Code Nation group, we have a Latinx in Code Nation group, and we have AAPI in Code Nation group, and also young women. And within those spaces, we try our best to make sure that we have people who look like our students, come from the same communities, have those conversations with them, and really build that connection. So that way, as young people are really starting their career, they feel empowered and they feel supported, and they feel like they have a net to come back to be like, okay, I'm not crazy. I can do this. It's okay. Because it's really tough those first years. And so we're here as a support along the way.
That's awesome. I think, it's really important that not only are we giving our communities the technical skills to succeed, but also that foster that support, that system where it's like, you have our backing as well too. I think it goes just beyond just giving them the skills. So I love that you guys are doing that. Let's move on to Rory.
Yeah, so expanding on what Jola said, I think having a safe space is generally what communities give us, right? We need a space to feel safe so we can grow and communicate. And I think that's one of the biggest thing Out in Tech has provided me, and like everyone else who I recruit to join Out in Tech, is like there are multiple channels, for people who aren't white, because the queer community and the trans community is, dominated by white folks. So again, we find ourselves in being marginalized again in another community. So that's great. So, but now there are channels where, there's like a cutie BIPOC channel. Now we want to like also, have a more Latinx channel, and, trying to like collaborate with Techqueria how we can make that happen, because we have overlapping members, and sometimes we won't feel safe, in either community because it's too white, or, we have our own problems in our own Latinx community, with like, being homophobic and, transphobic. So yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like having a safe space and feeling safe. And that's what our leaders have to do, is make us feel safe. And, on the job search, like I want to talk to people who are trans and like who work at like trans friendly companies. I don't care about some index. You probably paid someone off or something. It's BS. I want to know word of mouth. And how do I know that there's no safe space? So yeah, I think safe space is like, and having space and giving space is like a huge thing in our community.
Love that you brought that up. I think, in the tech space, there's a lot of lack of representation. So being in a space where there's people that look like you and understand you and ultimately are you, or, you guys are one, is really, really important. So that's a very good point as well, too. Things that are just invaluable at the end of the day when it comes to really trying to traverse your career. All right, let's move on to Cam.
Early on, our organization mainly advocated for getting acceptance for GI Bill funding for code schools, because at the time we were founded, there were no code schools in the U.S. that could receive GI Bill funding. We eventually became a group. Well, as my executive director likes to put it, a Slack group that got out of hand. We eventually established ourselves as a nonprofit. The last several years, we've been going to a more programmatic focus, and trying to partner with companies to set up pipelines to get a foot in the door. our thing is it's not just getting the person that job. We can't be hammer nail. It's getting that person the job and helping them and enabling them to stay in the job, to get in a position of leadership so they can hire that next person. Because it's you can't underestimate the power of a network. Also, in terms of, we've also established some for certain portions of our community. We established a support channel in 2018. In a lot of ways, our 2020 moment was in 2018 for a lot of reasons, and the women's channel came as a result of that. We established our pride channel. We established our private pride channel right before the pandemic started. And beyond that, we're also partnering with other organizations to provide wraparound services. Things that are important but might not be in our scope or resources. We've had a lot of interactions with members who have had, they've lost their jobs. They may have become unsheltered during the pandemic. It's hard to learn to code when you're trying to code from your car. And so we've partnered with a couple different organizations to try to provide wraparound services, including IBMF and America Serves. So we can get people, in the situations the help that they need. It's still a work in progress, and will probably never be done, but it keeps us busy.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that answer. And let's move on to Dennis.
All right. Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record, so I'll repeat what everyone else said verbatim, but definitely the sense of community, belonging, networking, that safe space, if you will, bringing your entire self to work. Sometimes you can't or you shouldn't. There's certain things that you probably don't want to bring to work, but we provide a space where you can. We also look at our mission to increase representation from two perspectives. So as Cam alluded to, leadership and executive management is something that we want to help our members strive for. So by providing resources and guidance for folks who are already in career to advance their career is really something that we try to support. And we have programs and initiatives for board readiness. If there's senior management who may be thinking about a board seat, but don't know if they're ready or qualified, because nobody really tells you if you're a CIO, what a board is looking for. So we're working with a couple of our partners, some large equity holding firms who have large portfolios of tech companies to let us know, hey, if they had this profile, we'd be interested. So we can kind of coach and say, okay, well, add this to your resume or CV in the next couple of years, and you may be considered, those types of things. For the folks who are looking to get into tech, we try to provide them with as many tools and resources as possible. So we try to remove that financial barrier to entry. So whether it's, hey, how do I figure out what specialization to go into? Am I cybersecurity? Am I infrastructure? I don't know what to do. I like tech, but I don't know what to do. We try to give them some guidance and resources there. And then for certifications, because we believe that's the currency in order to get into the industry, we basically provide grants and scholarships. We take money from our corporate sponsors and redistribute that wealth. And I'm not shy about taking other people's money and giving it to the people who need it. So we do a lot of that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I think a big key thing that I took away is just support at every level. We talked about support holistically, but there's people in different, races in this tech space as well, too. We're not races in that regard, but in terms of people who are going for the mid-level stuff, people who are trying to break in, people who are entering the C-suite as well, too. And support at every level is very, very important. So thank you for that. And lastly, let's go with Jasmine.
So I think, honestly, I feel like everything's been covered, but similar to Joliz and Dennis and Rory and Cam, we do a lot of, I think community is at the center of what we do. So we really do allow our members to interact. And a lot of that conversation happens to be, in those non-tech combos or some like things that you can only explain to another Latino. Like how your mom's acting or your aunt, the fact that you can't even explain to them that you work in tech and breaking that down. But over the last year too, I think we've had a lot of growth and kind of more importance flown into our cafecitos, which are kind of like informal chats for people in certain areas of tech and the niches. And we've seen a lot of members really enjoy that opportunity to talk with other professionals that are in their role or feeling exactly like they are. So we really try and like offer that. And then we also partner with a lot of organizations and companies like to provide them with programming on technical interviews and, getting hired and negotiating your salary and things of that nature.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I realize we're kind of cutting it close on time, so we'll start taking more questions from the audience. So again, I encourage you guys, please leave your questions in the Q&A chat. We'll start off from this question, which was anonymous. What is a piece of advice you give to someone who wants to transition into a technology career, whether they go through formal education, training, certification? I want two of you guys to take this, and I want this to be Joliz and Dennis. So Joliz, would you want to start first with this piece of advice?
Sure. I mean, I'm someone who didn't finish college, but I always encourage our students to go to higher learning. Nonetheless, I think that what companies often are looking for is someone who has a growth mindset and willing to learn. So to me, like, you can go to a boot camp, you can go to a college, you can be self-taught, but really it's about showcasing your willingness to learn new languages and having that expressed in your portfolio. There's a lot of free resources online that we often share with our students, and you can also get from many of these awesome communities that you're a part of. Join a community. I learned so much from being part of Techqueria. I've been able to connect with so many people, and I think that by talking to more people, you get to learn what is the niche that you want to go into. Is it cybersecurity? Is it graphic design? But being able to have those conversations and really deciding for yourself what makes most sense, the Comunidad has you. Honestly, people are willing to always support.
Great answer there. Let's go to Dennis.
All right. And Joliz, that's awesome. I'm going to elaborate on everything she said is correct and accurate, and I co-sign. My perspective, though, is, again, sounding shallow. I start with the end in mind. So I figure out how much money I want to make and then figure out what career is going to get me to that dollar amount. And right now, it's an interesting time because there are a lot of companies who had 4-year degree requirements for hire that are relaxing them because there are just so many jobs out there. There's over 1 million IT jobs available in the United States right now that are going unfilled because there's just not enough computer science graduates to fulfill those roles. So folks who have practitioner level skills, and these are, skills that can be self-taught, as long as you know how to do the job, you can get a job. So they don't care if you're a 12-year-old hacker. If you can do the work, they're going to cut you a check. So figure out exactly what it is that you may want to do. There are resources in all of our communities, I'm sure, that can help guide you and direct you to what it is that might be appropriate for your skill set. But there's a lot of transferable skills in the things that you've probably already done that could lead to a very fruitful tech career. So, just my perspective on things. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat, but I think that if you start off with, okay, well, I want to get to here, and I'm currently here, figure out what the steps are in between.
I love that, man. Reverse engineering, just say where you want to get to and start working the steps backward from there. And I think a big thing that you kind of ended with was just the transferable skills as well, too. And it kind of ties into the imposter syndrome, but a lot of us, every one of us has a transferable skill in the tech industry. And if you find that one or multiple skills that you have, you can kind of fill that gap where it's like, okay, I know I want to get here. I'm currently here. I have this one or couple of transferable skills that you kind of work it back from there as well too. So a gem right there is to identify those transferable skills, because those are going to take you a long way. So thank you guys for that question, or that answer, excuse me. The next question is for Rory as well as Cam. What advice would you give to someone who landed their first tech job at an enterprise? Let's start off with Rory.
Well, I think I'll give the same advice that I got when I was younger. It's just like, shh, be a sponge. Be a sponge, absorb everything you can. Those, first 5 years in tech, in your new tech job it's gonna be a lot. There's no such thing as a dumb question. However, if I Google your question and I see the first 3 answers, I'm gonna get annoyed. So do some research before you bother more senior engineers and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, also just join a community and ask questions. Maybe there's a complex platform you're trying to deploy, and you need specific help and details, and maybe someone out there has the same product and they're using it in their enterprise and they can help you out, kind of thing. But yeah, so those are little tidbits of advice I would give.
Awesome. Sean.
To expand on that, yeah, don't stop learning. The job you get is going to change over time. The tech is going to continually change. Beyond that, network, make friends, and have a backup plan. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing I learned my first job out of the service. Is always have a backup plan, and sometimes 2 or 3, because you never know where you're going to wind up. And beyond that, something I didn't pick up right away, but probably should have, is join a community. It took me a while to find mine. You need that space not only to vent, but just to figure out yourself. And that's been the biggest lesson. That's been the biggest lesson, is figuring out myself and where I fit.
All right. I want to mention, Cam, you might be having a bit of audio issues on your end. It might be on my end, but it sounds like there's a bit of audio issue, just an FYI there. But moving forward, I think this is a question that I want to ask. I want to ask everybody this question, but I wanted you guys to keep it 30 seconds, 45 seconds each, for the sake of time, because I think this is a great question. I think, this is a simple question, but a great question. How can one find a mentor? And maybe if you want to, think about that for a little second, we'll start off with Jasmine, since we left her so lonely over there. So Jasmine, you want to take it first?
I would have liked some thinking time, but I think, being vulnerable and just asking, similar to what Dennis said, figure out where you want to be and ask that person. And I always offer myself to Techqueria members. If you see someone in our community and you think they're interesting, I can make an intro, find a mutual connection and make that intro, and just ask them for informational interview. And be respectful of their capacity too, because sometimes, the dopest people don't have time to mentor, but they might have time for a couple little coffee chats here and there.
I think that was a big gem. Be respectful of these people's time. And if you respect their time, you may actually get a lot more time with them down the line as well too. So big gem right there. Let's go to Jo Liz.
I'm gonna echo and say, be respectful of their time. Reach out to people who you admire, or are in the field that you want to be in. Before I took on this role as a managing director, I reached out to Jessica Santana, who's at America on Tech, and I was like, hey, I'm going into this role. Can I talk to you for a few minutes to see how it's been for you? And we've been able to connect. And not only that, but she's been able to come to me when she has questions on things that I may know about. So making sure that you are giving as much as you are asking for is really important. So, reach out to people and be vulnerable. That is a great, great note. Be vulnerable.
another big gem right there. One of my former mentors actually made a statement to me before and said, don't always ask, but make propositions. And what he meant by that was give something and then you can also receive. So you figure out what that something is that you can give. Then it can kind of give you more of a give and take relationship with that mentor instead of just take as well too. All right, let's move on to Rory.
Sure. So I haven't been the greatest mentee now that I think about it, but life happens and I fall off the grid. But how I found my mentor was by accident. I had joined a Q&A student on my panel at LaGuardia Community College. I was talking to college folks, and like I happened to meet someone who's in the cybersecurity space who is my senior. And we had like coffee chats basically, and eventually it led to mentorship/friendship. It was just like that. So my advice would be like to put yourself out there. You're not going to find someone. Well, I know what you call it, but you're not going to find someone just by sitting at home, so go to network events, and do all of that. And I'm going to plug in this awesome program we have. So Adin Tech has a mentorship program for the LGBTQ youth, so from 17 to 24, right? And so I've been part of this mentorship program as a mentor, and it's an 8-week commitment, and it filled my heart with so much joy. The mentees get a lot out of it. These are people you can reach out to again in your future lives, and like meet other mentors and like collaborate with other mentors in this program, and a lot of the projects we make at Adin Tech U, like companies see them and these mentees get hired. So yeah, this is an awesome program. Check it out.
Awesome. I love that what you said there, kind of be vulnerable as well too. So thank you for that. Dennis.
All right. I am going to say that you should be open to rejection. And a lot of people are going to say no. Know that comes with the territory, especially if you reach out blind. So if you can get warm introductions from people within your network that we discussed earlier. So build your network so you can find a mentor. But if you're on LinkedIn and you have to reach out blind to someone, 2 pieces of advice. Have a specific ask. So know what you're reaching out to them about, and give a specific short timetable. I need 10 minutes of your time. Do you mind talking to me about this specific topic? And I wouldn't say mentor in the conversation, because that may turn people off. But what I have is a network of people in my circle that are kind of coaches. So I know that they know that I'm going to reach out to them from time to time. They might not consider them a mentor, but I consider them mentors. So it's kind of like shadow mentoring. So I have a group of folks that are my mentors. They just don't know it. Kind of like, a friend in my head. Another thing that I'll mention is that we do have a formal mentorship program. So if you want to mentor, Blacks in Technology has a mentorship program called Converge. It is a 6-month one-to-one mentorship program, and it is not exclusively for Blacks in Tech members. It is open to anyone, and the mentors are from all stripes, both technical and non-technical roles in tech companies. If you want to try that, we try monthly cohort pairings. You might not get immediately paired, but there's an opportunity for you if you want to participate. And the URL is convergementor.org. Great program, collaboration with Microsoft, MIT, Cisco, Nutanix, and some others. But, all right, and I'll shut up.
No worries. The big takeaways there, guys, I took was, 1, keep it short and concise with your ask as well. And then 2, make sure that you have a concise ask. Don't just say, hey, can I borrow your time? But hey, can I borrow your time for this as well too? And Cam.
Be specific to mentors, beyond going to community events. When you talk to them, ask open-ended questions. I mean, that's the big thing. We've noticed people forget. Not just ask no questions. Ask about how they got to a specific and as
Yeah, it's the audio, so I'm gonna have to cut you like the Apollo, Cam. I'm gonna have to. Sorry, I'm joking. I'm joking about that, but let's move on to Jasmine. Jasmine, would you like to take that one?
I think I did already.
All right,
I was
awesome.
first.
Sorry, we just wanted to hear you one last time.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I really think that you can almost ask anyone to do anything for you if you have an exchange, and you have to be respectful. But I may say that because I'm a little bit outspoken, and the worst you can hear is no.
Well,
or they'll ghost you, and it'll be okay.
All right. I know we're pushing our time, so maybe we'll make this one a short, quick hit as well, too. But I think this is a great question asked by the Techqueria team. Can you share a brief moment where your community showed up for you? And let's start with Liz.
Sure, really quickly, actually, to get my my job at Code Nation. At the time, I was working for V-Day, which is working with on issues on violence against women. It was a very draining position, and I was looking to do something in tech. And I reached out to people that I used to work with in tech education, and they were like, I know this place, it's really small, there's only 3 people there. I was the first non-white person to join the team, and it was through my community of people just being like, we know this is something you love to do, I heard about it, you should be connected.
Awesome, love that. How about Rory?
So I have multiple moments, which is great. I'll speak to, like, I socially transitioned about a year ago, and it took a while for my team to understand what was going on. And I had some repeat offenders, and, I just got like really fed up. And so I had wrote an email draft, and, I checked in with like the trans non-binary GNC channel, and they gave me great advice. I obviously was really angry, and like they helped me simmer down, and like helped me revert it and like send it out, and it was great. And I CC'd HR, and look at that, it suddenly got better. But my community had my back, and yeah, so that was it.
Love that. They need emojis in here, so you can kind of like have the clapping emoji, because that was definitely a clapping emoji worthy moment. Let's move on to Dennis.
All right. So really quickly, I had a issue where I was trying to find a co-founder, or actually technically a technical co-founder for my startup. So I'm working on this application. It's Paparazzi, Uber for photographers, coming out in 2022. Look for it. But I needed to get a person to develop my vision. And I was looking around trying to find people on Upwork and Fiverr, and, couldn't find somebody who could do what I need to do. So lo and behold, the Bit Slack channel, I just put out an APB. I was like, look, I'm looking for somebody who wants to work on something cool. I can't pay you anything. Equity is as much equity as you want for now, because it's worth nothing. But if we get paid, then everybody wins. And lo and behold, somebody actually took me up on it. So found my co-founder. Somebody is currently developing the app. And they actually, redirected me to 2 or 3 different folks, and I found the right one.
Love that. Finding a co-founder is always a win. So shout out to you there.
Absolutely.
The app sounds cool. So please keep the community updated when it comes out and when it's ready for beta. All right. And then last but not least, Jazz. Actually, we also have to do Cam as well too. But Jazz, let's go.
I would say, honestly, I'm feeling the love this week with everyone just like in the chat and, supporting us with the summit. And that's where I feel seen. But also, I think, when I first started volunteering for Techqueria, it was really that sense of community that kept me moving forward. And we've had like a long year for sure. But, getting little messages here and there on Slack from community members just thanking me, or I have one member in mind, Camilo. He's like a hype man, and he always like cheers me up with like random things, and I'm like, dude, I'm not technical, I'm not sure how I landed here, but you seem to think I'm the greatest, so I love it. And I think just those small little instances of like someone, being your hype man is great. And that's really what community is about. Like you have those little people that can cheer you up.
Love that. We all need a hype man. So we love that there. And Cam, let's see how we're doing with the audio. Okay. I think he's typing it in the chat. And while he's typing it in the chat, well, I'll read it out to everybody. Several instances, but especially a few months ago, his father passed away in June, and it took a bit to get through all the arrangements. Having a virtual shoulder to lean on really helped. So that's important. There's bigger things than breaking into tech or scaling your startup. We have real life that we're going through as well too. So having that community support you through real life is important as well. So thanks again for sharing these anecdotes and these stories as well too. All right, we are coming up on time. I want you guys to kind of allow everybody to kind of figure out how they can get in contact with you. You guys have a lot of great initiatives that you guys are working on, great organizations that you guys are a part of. Please leave your contact information. Just say a little bit about how people can get in contact with you. Let's start with Joe Liz.
So you can reach us at codenation.org. You can catch me on Twitter at Jolice Yvette, JOLIZEVETTE. Warning, I probably just post a lot about Bruno Mars. Nonetheless, feel free to reach out. I'm also on Techqueria Slack and always just a DM away. So please feel free.
FYI, there's nothing wrong with posting about Bruno Mars. It's actually, I highly encourage it as well too.
It's his birthday today, okay?
We got to go on Twitter and wish him a happy birthday. All right, Rory, moving on to you.
Sure. So I'm on the Techqueria and Untitled Slack, so you can find me there. I think I might be the only chinchilla there, so you can just look me up on my last name. I have LinkedIn, Rory Chinchilla again, and I'll plug in my email. But yeah, I'm responsive on Slack and on email.
Awesome. Let's go on to Dennis.
All right. You can find me on LinkedIn. Believe it or not, at last check, I believe I'm the only Black Dennis Schultz on LinkedIn. So I'm pretty easy to find. But I put my link in the chat. And also, the foundation's website is foundation.blacksintechnology.net. And you can join for free. We have a large and growing Afro-Latin community. We're going to have Blacks in Technology Latin America talk to a Columbia chapter president potentially yesterday. So we're really excited to expand our network. So join.
All right. Cam has left his information in the chat. So thank you so much to Cam and Jasmine.
You can connect with me typically by Slack. I would say that's the best way. But Techqueria, if you're interested in joining, membership is free. And you can join at techqueria.org/join.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I always have to leave my little 2 cents as well, too. Thank Jasmine for having me to host this awesome panel. You guys are doing amazing stuff for the community. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Thank you all for tuning in, and let's stay connected. It doesn't matter what organization you're a part of. You guys have now kind of started a community here within this, just attending this chat as well, too. So connect with everybody in the chat. Connect with all the moderators, with all the panelists as well, too. And hopefully we'll see you guys when the world opens up. All right, take it easy.